Welcome back to the R-Rated Podcast. The R-Rated Podcast. This week's guest is...
Welcome back to the R-Rated Podcast. Today's guest is Kevin von Esper, and we're going to talk about his documentary. So before we get started, tell me a little bit about yourself and kind of how you got into the whole like film industry and like what was like that initial spark for you?
Yeah. Well, hi, I'm Kevin von Esper. I'm a 38-year-old. I guess I would call myself a filmmaker now in the New York City area. I'm in the
Love
suburbs now. But I was in Astoria, Queens for 15 years. So until the pandemic. And I am a musician, but the music doesn't, even though music is the passion, I learned quickly that it does not pay the bills. So when I started a business, it was for videography and video editing and music producing and photography,
Yeah.
So that's what I've been doing for like 10 to 15 years after I got out of college.
Cool. What college did you go to?
And I went to Five Towns College in Long Island, and then I transferred to SUNY Purchase.
Nice. Okay, very cool.
Two very artsy schools.
Yeah. No, we love artsy schools.
Great. Yeah, I'm sure you do. So where was I in my history? Yeah, that was my professional life, and I always had this passion for these weird rock bands, in particular this one, Haunted Garage.
Yeah,
they're very mysterious, and we'll get into that, I'm sure.
Oh yes, we will.
during the pandemic, my business kind of crashed a little bit because my bread and butter was filming concerts and parties and doing photo shoots and doing branding stuff for companies and things like that. And of course, you can't do that when nobody can go out anymore.
Literally, when there's a 6 foot like rule, like distance rule, and like no concerts were happening for a while. Like, I definitely get it.
So I had a lot of time to sit around and think about something else to do with my company. Maybe it's time to start some internal projects. And what is the perfect marriage of my passions and interests growing up and my professional life? And this was it. The Life and Slimes of Dukey Flyswatter and the Haunted Garage.
I love it. Did you listen to them, when you were younger, or was this like a newer thing? Okay, so you're a fan. Is that like, would you say you're a fan?
So I am. I'm not only a fan, I'm like the ultimate fan.
I love that. That makes it so much more
That's kind of like how I've been known, to that camp.
I love that because like I feel like that makes it more special. You're not just like someone who's like a filmmaker who's like, oh, like I just need something to like document, so I'm just gonna choose this random thing. Like you're actually passionate about this specific band, this like genre of music, this performance style on stage, which is really cool because I'm not gonna lie, I actually didn't know about the group before I saw your like YouTube video and like what your plans are for the doc and everything. And I was actually really intrigued and was like, this is really cool because I've never seen anything like it. And I have I have a love for like scary movies and all that. Like I definitely love scary movies. And also just being a filmmaker, I think when a scary movie or like something like that can actually like scare you, like it's pretty impressive because nowadays we've seen it all with all these like CGI things and like they're trying to like do this extra stuff. So I feel like when you do get scared, it's
bring
like
back the practical effects.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like it's nice to like see things that are like out of the box that are scary.
Yeah.
And I wonder if like people like going forward, like more musicians or bands or artists will like want to take inspiration and start doing that because like I feel like that's like really like I haven't seen much of it, so it'd be really cool to see more of it.
I have so much to say about all of that.
Tell me.
Yeah. So first of all,
yes,
thank you. You are my target audience because this is not really for the people who know the band. Pretty much everyone who knows the band is already going to be in this thing.
Right.
I mean, they were well known in the underground LA scenes, particularly from the mid 80s to like the early 90s. But outside of LA, they're relatively, or you've probably seen him before, but you don't know it. And we'll figure out where you've seen him before. But the point being, Oh my God, what was the second part of that? I lost my train of thought.
Well, I like that
Yes,
you
you're
said
my
that I was
target.
your
Oh yeah,
target. Yeah,
because
I like that
yes,
because
because
initially when I saw it, I was like, this is cool because this is like something that I would watch, but like at first, like it wouldn't be like the first thing that comes to mind. But if I saw it on like a
yeah,
platform or like on YouTube or whatever, I'd be like, oh, this is a cool story. Like this is interesting. I've never seen anything like it. So I like
I'll
that
put
you
it this
picked
way.
me.
I'll put it this way. It's gonna be the Tiger King of Shudder.
I love it. Okay, well, Tiger King
Because
did great.
everyone's like, why are you making a documentary about somebody nobody's ever heard of? I'm like, that's exactly why I'm making this documentary. You've never heard of the Tiger King until you watched that
That's
shit for 6
true.
hours.
That's true. That's very true. I like that. That's very cool.
Right. And
So tell me,
Shudder
like,
hasn't picked me up yet, but if they're listening, I'm
yeah,
here.
they will. They will. I mean, you just got to manifest it and really like,
Oh,
I
I
feel
am
like
manifesting it
you're
like
manifesting,
hell.
believe in your project and it will
Oh
hit.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
So tell me, like, so you were like, okay, I am the right person to do this. I'm not only a fan, I'm a
Yeah.
super fan. I'm the person.
Yeah. I can tell you the quick story behind that
Yeah,
if you want.
please tell me. Start
Yeah.
from the beginning.
So,
I want to hear it
okay,
all.
great. So 1994, I'm 10 years old, okay?
I'm 2 years
Kurt
old. No, no,
Cobain.
I'm not. Sorry,
Okay. Oh
2 years
no.
before I was born. 2 years before I was born, what I was trying to say. I'm 96.
Oh wow. Okay. So 2 years pre-Priscilla, we have, well, Kurt Cobain died, right? That was kind
Right,
of like when I was really young, Nirvana was like the popular thing and changed my life or whatever.
right.
But then after that, it was kind of like trying time to find a new thing. And not that I was looking for a new thing, but it
Yeah.
definitely found me. I discovered this band called Green Jello. Do you know anything about Green Jello?
I don't, but I like the name.
Yeah. Well, they got sued and they changed it to Green Jelly, but
Mhm.
they were famous for a song and a music video called Three Little Pigs that
Okay.
was probably like the most played video on MTV in like
Mhm.
1992. It was this alternative rock song with this killer riff, and it was a stupid song about three little pigs. And so I got that CD when I was 10 years old and discovered that they were a band that dressed up in stupid costumes that they made
Mhm.
out of paper mache and duct tape and like couch cushions and they just they're the punk rock puppet show and they put stupid shit on their heads, you know?
Okay. Okay.
And so, and they were very popular at the
Yeah.
time. And most famously, their drummer at that time, while he was in Green Jello, formed a band called Tool.
Okay.
And I'm sure you know Tool, they
That's
knocked Taylor Swift out of the #1 spot on the Billboard charts a couple years ago.
amazing. Yes.
Yeah. So very quickly after that, with the birth of the early internet,
Yeah.
you wouldn't Google back then. I guess you would Alta Vista or Yahoo or
I love
something like
it.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Lycos. I'm showing my age with that one.
We love to
You
see
would,
it.
yeah, you would soon discover. Oh, I lost my prop. Do you ever heard of Gwar? Do you know Gwar?
No, I wish I did though. I don't know.
Oh man, this is gonna blow your mind.
Tell me.
Well, Gwar is this space alien rock band,
Okay.
and they're actually very popular, very kind of famous.
Mm-hmm.
I it's a whole nother that's a whole nother podcast.
Okay.
But
Well, I'm here.
they take okay, great. We'll do a Gwar episode. I will
Yes,
teach you all about
exactly. It
Gwar.
doesn't have to be one.
They are like these horror space alien barbarians who have this whole like sci-fi epic comic book storyline that is their through line. They've
Yeah.
been around for 38 million years.
Wow.
They started technically the year I was born. And that's a whole thing. They're still around, they're still touring, they still sell out everywhere they go.
Wait, that's
But
awesome.
they
That's
were,
great.
yeah,
Yeah.
they were kind of the next thing that you would discover after Green Jello. And then
Okay.
after Gwar, you would discover Haunted Garage.
Ooh, I like that cover art.
Right?
That's cool.
I mean, how can
Yeah.
you not buy this album? This,
Yeah, it's pretty
according to
cool.
me, is the best album cover of all time.
Yeah. I
There
love
are
it.
faces in the flames, okay?
That's cool. Little devil ears. We love it.
Yeah. And so I ended up joining Green Jello in 2008, and someone did make a documentary about them. It's on Amazon.
No
And just
way.
recently, somebody made a documentary about Gwar. It's going around the film festivals right now.
Oh wow.
And so I'm going to make the Haunted Garage documentary.
As you should. As you should. Somebody has to, right? And it's great that it's you.
Right. Oh, and so as soon as I discovered them, they were the most mysterious of those three bands that I got obsessed with. You know, these weird costume prop metal band, punk rock thing. They only had one album out and they broke up in 1992. So it was like they were already done by the time, you know, I got into it.
Yeah.
So 11-year-old Kevin, made the internet's first Haunted Garage fan site.
Oh my
I was 11
God.
years old.
Wow.
So I started getting in contact with all these people back then. Like when you were 8, or 6, I'm bad at math.
Me too. That's why I went to film school.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I've been kind of known as the super fan ever since then. And I've had this quest for knowledge of them. Yeah. And during the pandemic, I was digitizing all these old VHS tapes like on my downtime, because
why did it take until the pandemic to start doing the documentary, like to really pursue it?
Right.
Like, why didn't you do this like sooner?
Yes, good question. Somebody else was supposed to do this back in 2008 and it never materialized. So that's kind of when I first got the idea that a Haunted Garage documentary will exist at some point, right? And B, I am too busy hustling to pay rent in New York City to make a fucking documentary.
I know.
So once the pandemic hit and the idea hit, I was like, what can I start working on while I'm sitting in my pajamas all day in bed? And it's exactly this. I just started messaging people and being like, would you be into this if I did it? And I got enough yeses to just do it.
That's great.
I flew to LA last summer and came back with 40 interviews.
Wow. And how was the interview process? Was everyone down to talk, or did you have some people who weren't as easy to maybe convince to like sit down for an interview? Or was it pretty much everybody was down to sit down with you?
Well, there are a few people that I'm still trying to lock down. And I think the biggest problem in getting them isn't necessarily their lack of interest, but just I do not have a direct contact with them yet. So I think if they talk to me directly, this would all be solved very quickly. That's what I'm hoping. So now that I've launched it and it's out in the public, like I'm hoping to rectify these things and come back to LA and hopefully next summer if my campaign goes well enough. And get those.
So how much of the
and everyone else very happy.
So everyone else
was very happy to talk about it. It's just such a bizarre topic that anyone who was actually involved in it would be like, yeah, of course I have to tell my crazy stories about this.
So did you get your interview with Dukey Flyswatter yet? Did I say that right?
We did multiple sessions with him. I probably have about 7 or 8 hours with him
just
alone.
What was that like for you? Like not only like as a filmmaker, documentarian, but like as like, you know, a true fan. Like what did that feel like to be able to interview someone that you love to listen to and you know, what was that like? I feel like that's huge.
It was, but actually the first time I ever talked to him was when I started that website and I was like 11 years old.
Wow. Okay, so he actually like knows his fans, like in a sense.
Well,
like, maybe not all of them, but like you know, like
probably does know all of them.
Yeah.
They were never that famous. They were famous in their LA area and he knows everyone in LA. But
that's pretty cool. I mean, you know, maybe like fame to not everyone maybe wants like that, like very like that intense fame where it's like you can't even like go sit down at like a restaurant. Like, you know, I feel like there's levels of fame, and just because you don't have like 20 paparazzis following you to the coffee shop doesn't mean that you're not necessarily famous, right? So I'm sure he has like, you know,
I have an anecdote about that.
You know, let me hear it.
He's definitely not that famous, and I'm hoping to change that with this documentary because it's time that the world knew about Dukey Flyswatter. You know, and B, like he will get recognized time to time, and it's always like a hilarious moment when he does, because I heard a story once that he was on a roller coaster with a girlfriend and it got stuck. So everyone had to like get off of it and like start climbing down the ladder or whatever.
That's like
and
literally my biggest fear.
Oh, great. Well, you said you liked being scared, right?
True. I do like being scared. So, okay, continue. So they're crawling out.
He loves roller coasters, as you can see from the roller coaster on this cover.
Oh my God,
in
yes.
Possession Park. And this is the front seat going into the mouth of Satan, of course.
That's
as you do. So he loves roller coasters, and he's coming down, and somebody on the ground is like, "Hey, that's Dukey Flyswatter," and like they, so at the weirdest times he'll get recognized.
Yeah.
And yeah, sitting down with him was a dream. Like I said, I've talked to him before, and then in 2008 they did a reunion show that I actually flew out to go see, and he drove me around, and we hung out at his house while everyone was doing their makeup. And
wow,
so I'd known him. I don't talk to him on the daily or anything.
No, yeah,
but we've had this contact.
You guys have a relationship
20-something years.
Yeah.
So
did he open up
awesome
to you, like when you did the documentary? Like, were you able to like kind of dig deeper with him, like get to like know who he like is as a person? Like, what made him like what made him want to have such like scary, like very like horror film vibe, like performances? Like, what started that? Like, what was the spark in that? Like, how did that happen?
Sure. Well, he actually wanted to be, he was involved in film first.
Oh, okay.
Film is his first interest. Yeah, he is probably more famous for being an actor and writer in a bunch of B horror movies from the 80s.
Oh, no way. Okay, that's cool.
Yeah. Blood Diner, Sorority Babes in the Slime Ball, Bolorama, Hollywood Chainsaw Hookers, like all those crazy movies.
Love it.
Surf Nazis Must Die, like all those crazy movies.
Okay.
In the retro VHS era,
Yeah.
That's all. He's involved in all of that stuff.
Okay, that makes sense. So he started with
that.
So,
and then he had this group of Hollywood, film buff friends, and they had this idea to be a band that played theme songs of bad movies. So they would cover like The Blob, which was actually written by Burt Bacharach, Mothra, and like The Green Slime, and songs that Glenn Danzig would later re-record in the 2010s, but they were doing it in 1985.
Wow. Yeah, they were ahead of it.
So his music and his film career kind of go hand in hand, because then they would just start writing their own songs that sound like B movies, and sometimes they would be written for movies that he's actually written or going to be in. And
that's really cool.
That actually leads me to a confession.
Okay,
if I may.
Confession time.
But it has a happy ending, and I know that all sounds terrible right now. I know it is the rated R uncensored podcast, right?
No, we don't want a happy ending. We're talking about horror performances and stuff, and now you're like happy ending.
That's fine. I like the tease and denial too. That's also another conversation.
Yes.
So
give me the confession. What is it?
This is my confession. Oh Father, I have sinned. He was in this movie called Nightmare Sisters, which is kind of a famous B movie title.
Okay.
And I found a podcast that talked about this movie called the Rated R Podcast.
Really?
So when I found you, I actually thought you were this podcast that had talked about this movie.
Turns out I'm not.
Turns out you're not, but you are still a film industry podcast, and I am probably more excited to be with you here as someone who's a little bit more unfamiliar with this than
that's so funny that you said that, because I was actually going to ask you, like,
so
how did you
I accept my punishment.
No, I love how that happened, even though it happened through an accident. It's cool that we were able
that's the happy ending. So
which I love. And I think it's really cool that you're doing a documentary that you've always been passionate about, because I actually recently shot a documentary as well. I'm doing one about the drug epidemic, just because it's been so crazy.
I saw you had an episode about
that. So I feel like it's really cool, because I I literally just finished filming, so I feel like I can really connect with you about documentaries, and it
tell me
really
about your documentary.
No, I want to know more about you. We'll talk about me after.
Okay.
But like, I want to know more. So tell me, like,
I could tell you something that may be somewhat related to what your topic.
Yeah, please.
One of the things that people might not know about Dukey Flyswatter, but he's rather public about, is that he's been sober for 30 something years, more or less.
Oh wow, that's amazing.
And a lot of the people, and you're only gonna know the people who have outed themselves, but a lot of people who are involved in talking to me and the story, they know him also through recovery programs and just like helping people, and there's this whole side of him that's like I related to all of that.
That makes sense too, because I was wondering, because it was such a like a new thing, and also like it's not like your typical like, oh, we're like just listening to music. It's like there's guts being pulled out on stage.
It's a horror show.
It's like it's definitely,
but it's always funny,
right? But do you think people were like, oh, like you have to be on drugs to be doing that or listening? Like, do you think people had that judgment? Or
I think so. Yeah, definitely. And actually there was a famous, famous for us, episode of the Montel Williams show that he appeared on, opposite like some conservative Christian like guy who was like kind of claiming that exactly. And he's like, not only am I sober, but like you're talking about the values of Elvis, and he was the one who was high when he was doing all that stuff.
That's true. Yeah.
So in your face.
But that's also huge that you can, talk about it too, that like, hey, like maybe I did drink alcohol or use drugs, but I'm sober now. And I feel like
and part of it was he has bipolar, so some of it was manic episodes that were not medicated yet because it didn't exist back then.
And back then nobody even talked about mental health issues or bipolar disorder and stuff. Like it's like barely being talked about now, I feel like. So it makes sense. Like I totally feel like at first people were maybe a little bit shocked and like not used to what they were seeing, but I feel like when you really dissect
especially back then.
Yeah, I know. But if you really dissect it, it's just a way of it's art, you know what I mean? It's just how someone wants to express themselves through music and show performance. And that's kind of like what it really is,
Yeah, it's a fun horror freak show extravaganza. But some of that process for him, I think, came out in the show, in particular the later years of the band, where he would do things like live piercings. He would take needles and like pierce his skin in various places.
Pierce himself?
He would pierce himself. Well, sometimes he would have someone do it for him, but it was, they were trained and everything, even though it looks crazy, was safe. And
that's what I was going to ask you next. Okay. So like I was watching some clips and it looked like pretty intense. And I'm like, was everything like rehearsed? Like, like kind of like a real, like the way a scene
maybe
really
not so much rehearsed, but definitely the people doing it were trained professionals. They were makeup artists and special effects people in Hollywood, and like the band may not have known exactly what was going to happen every night, but they were aware enough to step back when they need to.
What was like the craziest performance that really stood out to you out of all of them? Like which one's like this?
Yeah,
this is the coolest one.
There was definitely one at a club, because one of the beautiful thing about doing this documentary is these people sent me Dukey sent me his whole tape archive of the whole history. So I found like so many gems,
That's so
great
cool.
videos and shows that otherwise would never have been seen before.
Yeah.
And there was one show in particular, and I think 1991, at a place called Exposure 54, which was like a hair metal place, I guess, in Hollywood somewhere.
Okay.
And you see this clip in the trailer. He starts the show with his arms on fire. He did a live fire stunt.
Whoa.
So it started like that, and it ended with the live piercings, and in between they did all their other crazy stunts. And they have these dancers go-go dancers, but they call them the Gorgor girls, Gorgor instead of go-go.
That's funny.
Right? So they're these beautiful women, but they're covered in blood and like zombie makeup or whatever,
Whoa.
So
yeah,
they're like beautiful, but they're dead,
right.
and
right.
they would come out as fleshy as possible depending on the venue limitations.
Okay.
And
Okay.
sometimes they would, this was like the live piercings. This was kind of like when people started getting body piercings,
Mm-hmm.
and it
Yeah.
was still kind of taboo back then,
Right. Right.
tattooing as well. They were all covered in tattoos and piercings, and in the middle of the show during their performance, they would like attach their nipple rings together and dance and things like that. So that was probably the craziest show that I've saw.
Yeah.
Most of the time they're at least wearing duct tape, but not that one.
I know, because I feel like nowadays when you like go to a concert and see a show, it's like either like a live band and they're just performing. There's like a lot of backup dancers or stuff like flashing lights. So it's really intriguing to like hear stories about what he was doing on stage. And it's like, did he come up with all the ideas all the time, or was he planning with the band, the group? Like, how much of it was his full idea? All of it? Like, do you know?
Definitely the band kind of stuck to just playing the music for the most part back then.
Okay.
Now in his revival lineups, he's found musicians who are also special effects people. So he solved that eventually in the 2013 finally.
Wow.
But then, he would either just find random things, like his friends would bring in their leftover props from B-horror movies and they would find some kind of use for it, or like they had a fat shaker machine. Do you ever see those before?
No, what is that?
Oh my god, wait till you hear about the fat shaker.
Oh, I'm excited.
So it's this like 80s, I guess it was an 80s fad of an exercise machine. It would stand up, and it would have this long band around it that you would put all over where your fat, and it would just shake it, and apparently it would work it out. But I don't know if that's true or not. I think they were actually pretty dangerous.
Oh my god.
And so he would put that in various obscene places of his body while the girls are whipping him and just going crazy and stuff like that. So it really depended on what he could find and what they could find a use for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
that's
it was that's
and
it just got more and more like as the band went on.
So when did he stop performing? Like, when did it like all come to an end?
Well, it was summer 2021 when I was in LA. I convinced them to do one final performance while I was there filming for the documentary.
Oh my god.
And coming full circle, it was at the guy who does Green Jello. He has a studio.
Yeah.
He created a studio in his living room along Hollywood Boulevard and made it into a weekly Saturday night TV show that's been running for 63 or 4 weeks now.
Good for him. Wow.
It was called Green Jello Vision, and now it's called WTF-TV.com. Go check it out.
Love it.
I should be on there this week playing the trailer because he's also in it. And they have a feature, and I mean, it's impressive. This guy turned his living room into like a 5-camera, like multi-cam soundboard.
I love
professional, like, but totally chaotic weekly show, 3 hours every Saturday.
Wow.
Free on YouTube. And you can just show up. If you have nothing to do on Saturday, I'll give you the address. Show up. It's a great time.
Love it.
Because you're in LA, right?
Yes, I am. I am in LA. Yeah, send it to me. I love that.
Being that they were old friends, I had Haunted Garage do their final performance at Green Jello Studios while I was filming.
I love that. Oh my god.
And it was wild, man.
Wow. And was it
it's a small space.
Did it feel like back in the day for you? Like, did it give you all the feels?
I wasn't really there. I wasn't there back in the day because I was too young. I missed it.
Right. Oh yeah. So
this is actually the second time I ever saw them.
Oh my god. And how was it? Like, what did it feel like?
Well, they only did 4 songs. It was like a short, it was part of a show, so it was a short set.
Yeah.
But it was just great because I was like, not only do I get to experience this and I set it up, I got to film it for my documentary, and the rest of it is on YouTube, because it's a streaming live show already.
Right. Wow.
It's obviously like they're old, well, the new guys aren't as old, but he's in his 60s. He can't really do that anymore.
Yeah.
So,
but that's great that he still wanted to give you a show, for the doc.
Oh yeah, he's always about the show. And in fact, this is one of his rat traps that he wore during the show. One of the things he's famous for is putting rat traps on his eye bags.
Are you serious?
And other parts of his body that maybe, could be appropriate for the R-rated podcast Uncensored.
You can say it, but
join the OnlyFans.
How did he perform while doing that? Like, I feel like I'd be like screaming.
Well, he was probably screaming.
He probably was screaming, but incorporating into a song.
Exactly.
So what was like the fan base like? What was like the age demographic?
I would say, I'm not really sure because I wasn't there, but just if you were a weirdo and you hung out in the LA underground, you definitely knew Haunted Garage. That was the kind of, from what I've heard from the interviews I've done about the zeitgeist of the LA scene at the time.
Yeah.
People just kind of went out and, went toward the Sunset Strip and saw who was playing and just kind of, that was like a lifestyle. And
right.
One of these bands were going to be playing somewhere every night of the week.
Yeah.
It was just part of this culture and all the, it was a rare time in history where different genres of bands could play together and it wasn't weird.
Right. Oh my God. I didn't even think about that.
And the 90s was such a boom of just like all kinds of crazy, bands and stuff like that.
Did they ever deal with like venues not wanting to host them because of their like, out there performance and stuff?
Yeah. I think that happened every once in a while, but I think they were pretty well respectable with, with the limitations and boundaries of each venue. So some of them would be like, we love the blood. Shoot the whole crowd with your Hudson sprayers full of blood, and it's great. I love it.
What was
some of them would be like no blood, but the naked girls are okay.
I'm curious what the blood was like. Was it just
right
corn syrup with like food coloring, or like what was it?
I don't exactly remember, but I do have the special effects guys talk about it in the documentary.
I guess I'll have to watch it to find out.
They know their stuff because they're the professionals. And some of them, most of them are still in the field and doing big things. I mean, they touch everything. Marvel movies, Tarantino movies, like you name it.
That's huge.
They do everything.
Great. Yeah. When you were like interviewing, what was, I guess, first of all, how many days did it take you to shoot all this? And what was like highlights for you, like your top highlights, like that really stood out to you throughout this experience?
I was in LA for 2 weeks and I extended my trip 1 day so I could catch the final performance that I set up.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah. So it was all in 2 weeks. I got almost 40 interviews. It was just a whirlwind. It was just like multiple people a day. I was mostly set up in the place that I was staying at, which is the guitar player and co-producer of the documentary's place. We set up a studio there, so mostly people were just cycling in and out of there, but sometimes we would go on location and we got some really cool locations. If you see them in the trailer. And
so did you have a small film crew that you knew out here already, or did you have some friends from New York and you guys came together to LA to make this happen? Like, how did that go down?
You're looking at it. I'm the whole thing.
You did it all by yourself.
Yeah,
no
I did it.
Way.
Well, there was 2 or 3 shoots that I had a co-producer help me shoot and bring an additional camera.
Wow, that's huge. That's congratulations. That's awesome.
Luckily, my host had a really nice light, so that was not a problem. So I shipped him a tripod, and I came with my DSLR camera and my Zoom recorder, and that was pretty much it.
Wow.
That was the whole production.
I love that though, because that I feel like that gives other filmmakers inspiration that you don't need to have like everything in this like ginormous budget to like
no,
to just make
I have zero budget, and that's why we're talking right now.
That's happened to me too, where I'm like, you want this amount of money, but you didn't see it happen right away. Just try to like, maybe make more different teasers of like footage that you haven't shown yet. Like switch it up. Like, TikTok's really popular right now. Like it's a way to
I need a TikTok master, because that is like,
trust me,
I feel like I just missed that one.
I know.
I don't know how it works. I'm too old for TikTok.
I didn't really hop on it. No, you're actually not. There's a lot of
TikTok
people on
mistress
TikTok.
Come to me.
But I feel like, making a little like account, and showing little video snippets of it, really showing that like gory, like eye-opening stuff that you usually wouldn't see on stage. I feel like that can really attract your audience. And hashtags are very important. So using hashtags, saying, like documentary.
I'm very active on Instagram.
Also doing it with reels, like that's another way to build traction. So I definitely think that once you are done with the edit, submit it to film festivals. Honestly, that's the best way.
We're going all the way to Slime Dance.
Yes, honestly, submit it all over. Like submit to some free ones, submit to some ones that you pay like $10, $20, like maybe even submit it to like a bougie one as well. You never know. Like all it takes is one festival to like announce you as a winner and really like recognize you. And sometimes it's even more than one, like you never know. So I definitely would recommend festivals and strive for the skies. And like, honestly, try to like
all the way to the top.
Try to put it on a streaming platform. Don't like, obviously you can put it on YouTube, but I would also try to put it on a streaming
This is bigger than YouTube.
Exactly. Like I think you should put it on a streaming platform. I think more people.
Shudder, I'm manifesting you.
If you're listening, put us
Come on, puppy dog eyes.
But I'm gonna manifest it for us. Both of us are gonna have our documentaries on streaming platforms. Keep an eye out for it because it's gonna happen, right?
Fuck yeah.
Well,
rated R and uncensored.
I know, yes. But thank you so much for spending this time and talking to me and like educating me on this.
Thank you.
On this new genre of like. I really never had like any knowledge about this like topic and like this band, so I'm like really excited.
Look, here's his headshot from the 80s.
That's actually a good headshot. I like that.
Right? Not too bad.
But let me know if you ever need an extra hand completing the documentary, and I'm in LA. Like I could help you out, give you an extra hand.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
But yeah, just keep me posted on the process of things, and maybe we can do a follow-up episode and see where you're at.
We're doing it. You heard it here first. We're coming back. Part 2.
But if you want to just throw out like your Instagram handle for people to follow you, or like the documentary, or even like your GoFundMe, whatever you want to throw
Indiegogo.
Sorry, Indiegogo. My bad.
Indiegogo campaign.
But yeah, just let them know so they can follow you and hopefully share and donate.
Yes, share and donate. You can find everything at dukeydoc.com. That's DUKEYDOC.com. Not like the Green Day album Dukey. DUKEY. I have to specify that because everyone knows Green Day, which is great, but it's a whole different ball of slime.
Yeah.
At Dukey Doc on Instagram is where I'm most active. I am Kevin Von Esper. I run Von Esper Studios. I am super easy to find. Come find me.
Come find it.
Indiegogo is all there. Just look up, go to dukeydoc.com or search the life and slimes of Dukey Flyswatter and Haunted Garage.
I love it.
And if you can't donate, share it. But I'm looking for that executive producer. Come on. And if you're a TikTok wizard and you like what I'm saying, get at me because I could use your help.
Exactly. No, we got to.
I'm manifesting everything.
Manifestation.
Yes.
Well,
let's do it.
It was amazing talking to you, Kevin, and I'm glad I got to get to know you. And I'm happy that it was an accident, but it was a good accident.
Yeah. Thank you, Priscilla. Thank you, Rated R Uncensored Podcast, not the one that reviewed the movie Nightmare Sisters, featuring at least 2 people who are in my documentary.
I love it. Cool.
legendary scream queens of the 80s. There's a whole documentary just about these three girls.
That's amazing. Well, send me a few
Screaming
things
in High Heels. It's a documentary about those three
I low-key
women
love
in
the
horror
title.
movies.
Screaming in High Heels. I'm like, me?
Yeah. Yes, you are a scream queen.
Yes.
You can be if you want to be.
Yeah, exactly. Well, thank you so much, and we'll keep in touch, and I'll see everyone next week. Bye.
Bye.